The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
I think I've always believed in the paranormal, but the deeper I get in this field, the more questions I uncover. I started a program called Seeking the Paranormal in an effort to gain insight and dialogue from others interested in the same things as me. And while we've learned a lot together, the questions still remain. So I'm bringing my thoughts to the airwaves, and I've brought along my friends, Adam and John, to share in the fun. Together, we'll tackle the tough topics and debate the evidence as we continue to seek the paranormal. Hi, y'all, and welcome back to Seeking the Paranormal. This week, we are going to talk about some of the pioneers of the paranormal field. But before we get to that, we might as well talk about the pandemic, because that's all anybody is talking about anymore. John's saying that he may or may not have symptoms. The problem is allergies are so bad right now, and in fact, I saw that this is supposed to be one of the worst years for allergies. So you throw that on top of everything else, and I don't know how you're supposed to know if you're sick or not.
Well, my problem is my number one contract is a retirement campus. So if I think I am, I don't go. I can't go. But set everything up to do 99% of it remotely, so I can still work. Mostly.
Well, and all three of us are essential employees, right? I mean, we're all three working, so.
Yay, me.
I tried to get them to let me work from home and was given a big no on that, so.
I can't do my job from home, unfortunately.
I'm stuck in a secret lab all day, every day. And because my wife has chronic bronchitis all the time, I'm kind of don't go in the house either. So this is my world right now. I'm isolated in a bar. It's terrible.
Well, I will tell you that at work, I sit in a room. I mean, it's a box. It's a windowless room. I've got 3 giant screens on the wall and 5 on my desk, and talk to people through a door.
That's the best way to talk to people. I found if you have to talk.
Some days, I suppose, but it gets a little annoying after a while.
It's like you're stuck in the laboratory. Speaking of which, how's your toilet paper situation?
We are good. Before the craziness started, actually, I had bought toilet paper from Walmart, and then my mother-in-law went to Sam's Club and got us more, so we're good on that front.
I could work it out. I thought, that I didn't... There was a rumor going around that I didn't know of, where people said if you got the virus, you grew 5 new buttholes or something. Why? Why toilet paper? Come on.
Well, I did find out why people were hoarding toilet paper, and it's because toilet paper is made in China, and people started to panic that they were going to stop importing it, so they started hoarding it.
And no one here knows how to make toilet paper?
Right. I mean,
not soft enough toilet paper, evidently.
Not firm enough.
Do you know what I did? I went to Sam's Club, and all the toilet paper is gone. But they still, because all the restaurants and pubs are shut down, they still had tons of those huge rolls that they put in bars.
Yeah.
I bought a box of those. It's
Might as well.
That's 6,000 feet of toilet paper.
That's so crazy. You're good.
When all this is over, we are TPing some houses.
Yeah.
How do you throw that over a tree?
Oh, it can be done. We'll make a toilet paper launcher. It'll be awesome.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's got to shoot 1,000 yards, though.
We can make it happen.
Mortar, 60mm mortar with it.
Nice. Well, and my daughter had her 17th birthday the other day, the same day you were celebrating your birthday, John. Yes, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm glad you got to have a little bit of fun. Unfortunately, my daughter, probably this will not be her most memorable birthday ever, but what do you do? She'll have stories to tell her kids someday, I guess.
Yeah. Back in the corona crisis.
That's right.
Yes.
I have an art in a coloring book.
That's exactly. Yeah. Well, and so one thing that's come up recently, the Granger House is still allowing private investigations. We're not doing anything public right now. And I'm in a group message with some people who are going to Waverly in April, and they were, I think, trying to decide if they were still going to go or not. So I think most of them, from what I could tell, were still going. So Waverly is still doing investigations, but I messaged my group who is going in May, and we've got one person who thinks that it's not going to happen. And I'm starting to kind of wonder, it sounds like they're letting people make their own decisions, but I don't know if you guys could go to Waverly right now and investigate, would you?
Absolutely.
Who, me?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I know you say you guys. I think we got listeners left. I don't know if you mean the listener.
There's got to be at least one person left out there.
My problem is I can't get someone to cover right now. So,
well, but pretend I'm asking hypothetically, in your hypothetical world.
If I was hypothetically free and stuff like that, didn't need going away really wouldn't be the issue. But I'd probably sleep in the car instead of going to a hotel. I'll be honest, because I watch Sky News, the British stuff, so yeah. I know that 10 to 14 days in front of us, and then Italy's a few days. So when I read those numbers coming off that TV screen, I kind of know what's coming. And I don't scare easy, but it's going to be a lot worse than people think. Well, most people I talk to, a lot of people aren't even taking it seriously. So,
well, I think the fact that there's a lot of people that aren't taking it seriously is the reason why the numbers are still going up.
Oh, they're going to keep going up.
Oh, absolutely.
We got at least 2 weeks of this crap going up, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
everywhere else, Spain, Italy, and everywhere. New York, I mean, Jesus. Well,
I'm probably one of those people who isn't taking it seriously enough. And the irony of that, of course, is that I work for an ambulance service who we've got, I think, 6 or 7 people out right now with symptoms. I'm trying to get my child to stay home. Of course, I say that, and then we went to Walgreens this afternoon. But so Lynn County, Iowa is where the 3 of us live. Yesterday we had 90 confirmed cases. It only went up to 94 today, so that's good. Iowa is at 549.
I'm missing. How many they test? That doesn't mean crap unless they tell you how many they tested. If you're going to look at statistics.
That's one of the things, because they're not testing very much right now.
Exactly.
Well, and I don't know if I mentioned last time or not, the numbers are kind of skewed anyway, because if, I may live here, but if I go somewhere else and have, live there part-time or whatever, and I am in, say, LA and get tested there, my number shows positive for Lynn County, even though I'm not there. Does that make sense?
How many people are on vacation now? I mean, how big of a
well, like the people across the street from us, they part-time somewhere down south. They're snowbirds. And, there are a lot of people who actually, I think, split their time like that and do that.
Are you trying to play it down?
What?
Are you trying to play it down?
Oh. No,
Like it to me. It's like we're of a suspicious nature.
I do what is asked of me. Every day we are to sanitize our office, our little box, before the next shift starts. And my hands are red after I get off work because I've sanitized everything to death. And I don't have as much of a problem staying home as like my kid does, so I don't really go anywhere. We walked a little bit around the cemetery, went and saw the Granger's graves today just to kind of get out of the house a little bit. And beyond that, I'm doing what I'm told to do. That whether I think it's going to be as big of a deal or not. The flu kills a lot of people every year too.
Yep. So the cars, you've heard all the arguments. It's still a pandemic. It's going to kill, 100,000 maybe?
That's what they're predicting right now. Yeah.
Mostly killing people with a weak immune system, which I'm not, don't get me wrong. My grandparents... What?
We need to get rid of them anyway.
Well, my grandparents are already dead, but if they weren't, absolutely, I would tell them not to go anywhere. And my mother, who's diabetic, I have told, do not go anywhere. So even though I'm not taking it too super seriously, I still, I worry about my mom and I worry about some of the people in my life who might have a weaker immune system. And it does scare me a little bit for them. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, my mom just finished chemo, so...
Yeah. She's not going anywhere.
No.
Well, she lives in Illinois. She lives in Illinois too, right?
Yeah, Illinois got quite a few cases.
Well,
anyway.
They shut down, so...
Well, no, they didn't. They've got the order to shut down. They don't.
Right, that's
totally essential. That's the thing. That's what I mean about taking it serious. I mean, people don't. And that's...
It's interesting to me too, the fact that mechanics, no offense to Adam, but the fact that mechanics are considered an essential employee, I don't know.
Well, all right, now I'm going to defend myself.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, the reason that they say that is because if somebody who is essential, like one of the police officers, one of the, whatever, if their car breaks down, they need to be able to get to work, so we have to be there to fix it. So that's basically the reason for that, so that way we can keep those people still moving.
But then my point is, where do you draw the line?
Well,
here's the thing. Everybody's essential, otherwise you wouldn't have a job. If you're not essential, why have you got a job?
Well...
Could look at it like that.
I think almost anybody could make the argument for being essential. Right now, I'm trying to make an argument for not being essential, but it's not working.
I never get vacation. I'm self-employed. I'm on call 24/7, 365. So I decided I kind of feel a little bit guilty, but I've set up so I can remote most of the stuff. And I've said to myself, turn negative into a positive. And, try and relax and treat it like a vacation.
Well, I will tell you, my my company's IT person is having to work from home too, and has for the last 2 weeks, and will continue to for, I'm sure, several more weeks. Same with our HR lady. And the president of our company has been coming in every day. The vice president was not there yesterday, but I don't know if she had something else going on or if she's going to start working from home. And then the manager, she went home yesterday, so I don't know if she's going to start working from home as well or what. So,
yeah, I'm slowly moving the admin people. They're slowly deciding. I knew it was coming, so I set everything up, but they've slowly started to decide that they should work from home, so... Which is cool. I just have to take me 10 minutes to get them set up anymore.
I say I would like to dispatch from here, but I'm sure the logistics of it would be a nightmare, and I would quickly regret it. So,
not really. Depending. I mean, how many screens do you need out of the 5? Do you need all 5?
I mean, probably not. It's just convenient.
How many screens do you have at home?
1. Hello, you're my IT person.
No. I was trying to lead you down the path of is 1 enough?
Probably. Actually, no. I would need at least 2.
Yeah, because you've been after 2 screens for a while. Maybe this is just a new bleak way of it.
That's right. That's right.
But I mean, really, it's not. The logistics is your phone is probably VPN, which means it comes over the internet.
Yeah.
So you just reroute that to your house. Same with your, and then you could do remote desktop to whatever you're using. So the logistics these days is pretty simple.
Well, and I told him, let me take a WT home and I can use that instead of the radio. But I was told we will continue to dispatch from the office, which is fine.
The Alamo.
What else? Well, should we get to topic here?
We have a topic. I did research on the wrong topic.
What'd you research?
No, I didn't.
Oh. Well, Adam didn't research at all, so.
Nope. But I don't ever research anything. You should know that.
Just make it up. No one will know.
I'm only here for comic relief anyways. That's my only purpose.
Who's relief?
Right? Exactly.
I have nothing intelligent to say, so.
Me neither. Don't stop me, though.
I would like to know from both of you who you think the most influential person in the paranormal field is or was.
Or should be.
Okay. I already know. I think I know John's answer. Go ahead.
You don't.
Okay.
I think I do. I think I know John's answer, and I'm just going to tell you both now, you're going to hate my answer.
No, it's not. You're just going to say it just to be out of spite, aren't you? Does he wear glasses and piss me off a lot?
What? Tell us yours first. You go first. Shut up. God damn you.
Who's you? I can't see who you're looking at. You're looking at the camera.
Right. He's talking to you.
That's right.
So, after much research, and yes, you guys thought Harry Price, and I like Price, but he was never neutral enough quite for me after I went through all the people that I thought would be a candidate. Then I started looking into a guy called Tony Cornell, and that guy fits at least my idea of what investigators should be. Want some details, or are we going to do that later?
Hold that. I want to hear Adam's answer first.
Well, John already screwed it up because he's a dick. No,
You're welcome.
my answer, and not for any good reason, is Zach Baggins.
Why?
For the exact opposite of... And like I said, not for any good reasons. He's only influential for all the bad reasons. Because we always say, anything that Zach Baggins does, don't do it. So I think as far as influencing people, if we could convince people to do the opposite of what he does, then he would be the most influential person. And that's why I say that.
All right.
I think
I'm not saying it for a good reason. I'm not saying I like the guy. Jesus.
No, I get... No, if you pick him by amount of influence today, he's up there. He can plagiarize a book and sell the crap out of it.
Well, exactly.
Yes.
But he's just doing everything wrong. So I think we could learn from him a lot by doing the opposite of what he really does. True.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that as I was doing my research, and I actually wrote an article on the ParanormalScience.net website. We got an article thing now. And as I was doing this, I had the idea of an article, and I started writing an article, and I couldn't stop. It was like gushing out of me. So I was like, well, there's therapy for me for today. But I think the Zach Bagans thing, and we'll get into that maybe later, but I had like an epiphany of why he's wrong and what he's actually doing to people.
Okay. Well, I asked our social media places today, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, for what people thought, and we had a lot of people like my little video, but only, I think, 2 people actually answered it. Nico nominated John.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it would be if it wasn't Nico.
And Brian suggested, well, he first started to say Zach Bagans, and then he stopped and made a joke of it, thank God. But he actually suggested Jason and Grant from Ghost Hunters, and I think to a certain extent that was a good answer as well. And the other one was Hans Holzer, which I agree. I think that one's a good one as well. I don't know that I have a good answer. I think modern day, I don't know. I obviously Rosemary Ellen Guiley, she, whether you agreed with her or not, she did the work. She was doing the work. The problem I ran into today as I was thinking about this question was a lot of the people, I guess why you would say Zach Bagans, the people who have been influential in this field eventually end up being somebody that we're like, no, they're awful, don't listen to them. The Warrens, for example. I mean, they're both dead and they're still hugely influential.
They're Zach Bagans. I mean, they're exactly the same. And there, I will almost guarantee it, is Zach Bagans' long-term plan. So you see what Warrens did, went around, got famous doing this stuff, did a museum. Then later on, everybody's interested, their case files get turned into films, they make royalties. Zach Bagans will be the same.
And, here's my problem. So, the Warrens did stuff, and down the road we find out maybe it wasn't all so truthful. Hans Holzer has done a lot of stuff, but there are things sprinkled in there where he was just plumb crazy. Amityville, possibly one of them. Same with Harry Price. I mean, Harry Price, who we still hold up, and he would be one of my answers as well, but, Geff the Talking Mongoose is a huge example.
Well, and also the reason he was in contention is that his methodology was sound, or why he was doing what he was doing was sound. Where he falls down is the politics. So, and back in the day, especially his earlier career, they were all grabbing mediums, debunk, and then find one they couldn't debunk, and then hold those up to say, because that was their goal, find one that worked. And they go, this is the one, and then they'd all jump on the medium and all the others jump on the medium and try and debunk him, which I think is a fine thing to do, except it started getting personal and political, and, so, and that's how the SBR came about, because originally it was a spiritualist movement using science. The SBR broke away saying, no, we're going to do science to investigate spiritual claims, because there's two pro-spiritualists. But the problem was at the beginning of the SBR, there was still a lot of spiritualists involved. So, and Harry Price was in the middle of it, and he'd play one up and then debunk them and drop them like a rock, and then get famous for debunking them.
I think you can throw Houdini in there. There's just, there's a lot of people that have contributed and their names that we still talk to. I don't know who the king of all of them are, though. Like, I don't know who you would put as the top.
I picked mine just because I thought he was straight down the line an investigator.
All right, tell us about him.
But he wasn't, and there was very little politics that I found, and that's probably why you don't hear that much of it, because he just got on with the job. But, he was vice president of the SPR in the 90s. So, I mean, he was in there as far as the politics go, but, you know, he was pretty much straight down the line for the stuff that I've read. And there's still interviews of him floating on YouTubes and stuff like that. So I liked him. In fact, I ordered his book. He won't get any money because he's dead, but...
Well, but here's, you know, he may be doing things the right way, but if he's not a well-known name, good Lord, does that make him influential?
I didn't know it was... Well, he influenced me, and he obviously influenced enough people, you know, that were close to him, which hopefully is a knock-on effect. I mean, that's the thing. So, and that's basically what I was writing about today, is about the influential stuff. So, in fact, let's just get it out of the way now before we go into details, is the epiphany I had was, when you look at, and I call them the founders because I've been watching too much Deep Space Nine, but when you look at the old school, the old school investigators, they will come up with experiments and do, you know, try and keep it as straight to science as they could, which is boring. The new ones now, the new guys, if you look at the reality shows and all the ghost hunting groups that try to emulate those shows, they have costumes, they have poses, they go in, they follow a script, and they have props. They're actors, because that's what the people on the reality TV shows are. They'll go in, there's scripts of beliefs and things that happen. A lot of the new ghost hunting people will go in, they have the same script that they follow, they have the same props, like the K2 meter and everything they see on the TV. None of this is proven equipment, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, if you took one of the old guys, you know, the first thing they do is, what's that? Does it work? How does it work? And then they do experiments on it. Nobody does that. And when we did that Spiritus experiment, I said, everybody please join in the experiment. Do you know how many did? None.
Yeah.
And the reason being is, when they're scared, I'm going to take away their toys. Basically, you know, if you put that much doubt in their mind, you know, you're taking away their toys. Nobody wants that, you know. So, to me, that's the difference between the old guys and the new guys. The new guys are actors, because they are. It's a reality show. They have a script. They got to follow. They got props that look good. They go off on the screen. And the trouble is, all the new people coming in, they're following the same script. They're not doing anything new. They're not, to me, anyway. So, that's what made me make my choice of investigator.
That's fair.
Run over.
Well, and that's why, you know, I kind of like Rosemary Ellen Guiley, because she never did the TV shows. I mean, she would be an expert guest or whatever, interview for people's shows, but she never did them. She never had a show. She just did her research. And it wasn't about that for her. And I liked that.
And some of her ideas were out there. I mean, they were like, really? But then you listen to her talk about it, and she did the proper research.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the other thing I kind of like, you know, we were just talking about it, so they'd all, like you said, they'd all jump on someone back in the day. Oh, you did this, and they jump on you. But that's fine, because that's called peer review, and that's a good thing. Now we've got this thing called Paraunity, which really is it's telling everybody, stay on script. Do not stay on script. Don't leave the script, you know.
Right.
I don't like it, you know. I do not like that, but that's me. Who am I?
One of our nominees.
Yeah.
All right, well, tell us about your guy.
Why do I always have to stop? It's because I'm foreign, right?
That's right.
Quick overview. Tony Cornell, born 1924, died 2010. He was an investigator for 50 years and covered over 800 cases. So I think he's got the chops to be able to say. Joined the SPR in 1952 and made it to vice president in 1992. His area of study, or what he investigated, were hauntings, poltergeists, and mediums. So, now, as he was coming up, you got to remember, back in the day, he was one of the pioneers in audio-visual equipment and computers. So he was like one of the originals that do a stakeout and, try to get the stuff down on hard copy. He did not believe in seances or physical mediumship, like ectoplasm back in the day when people were still doing that. He did believe in telepathy and psychokinesis, because his belief was that without people, paranormal stuff didn't happen. So he was of the belief that you needed people there to have something happen, which meant, it's got to be coming from the people, whether it's a spirit doing it or the people doing it. So that was kind of his angle.
Do you agree with that?
I don't know, because here's the thing, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there,
I was just going to say that. You took the words right out of my mouth.
But then why do you leave recorders and cameras running by themselves?
To test it. I mean, just because somebody says it doesn't mean it's law. That's what he believed, and that's what he was studying. We did that one experiment with the ghost feeder, of how many times it beeps when we're interacting with it, how many times it beeped when we were gone, and it beeped a lot more when we were interacting with it. So, whether there's something there or not, I mean, he did 800 cases to come to that conclusion. Does it mean it's true? No, but I'm prepared to give it some weight, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, though. Here's a couple of things here's why I really like him. He said out of the 800 cases he did, he said 80% of them were either fraud, pranks, or misidentified paranormal occurrences. So he said of the 20 remaining, they were hard to explain, but probably only a handful were paranormal. So if you think about that, 800 cases and only a handful where he felt they were paranormal, that's... And the thing is, though, he's not a skeptic or a debunker. I got a quote here, because he believed that history recorded too much, so he believed it was true, but it needed level-headed and impassionate investigation. Once again, one of the things that I really hate about the modern stuff is A, it's not level-headed, and B, it's just,
Yeah.
So, and it's all. So, and here's talking about how into it he was. There's a thing here that he dressed as a ghost in several locations in Cambridge. And the reason he did that because he was trying to test the reliability of eyewitness testimony. Nobody's done that lately, that I could think of. Not in parapsychology. In psychology, they've done the thing with the ape moving through the room, but nobody's dressed as a ghost and then in somewhere where someone's supposed to be haunted and then ask people what they saw. And what he found was a lot of people didn't see what they really saw. They saw what they were supposed to see, according to the stories. So, that's an investigator to me. I fell in love and I want to have his baby.
Wow. I mean, that might be a little far. I'm saying.
I get it. I'm not socially adept. Did I go too far? Social distance is easy for me.
Oh dear.
So I mean, he's and on that article I got a couple of links of. I mean, he didn't do a ton of articles, but interviews, and they're all short snippets. But he was man after my own heart, even if he did come full. And I think if he got famous, but he wouldn't. That's the whole point. There's no bling, People that do that kind of investigating aren't going to get the camera, So, sad but true, I'm afraid.
So, I don't know what I wanted to ask. Never mind.
I brought everybody down now.
No, I am just. I mean, I'm thinking about. Well, first of all, you said he wrote a book. Do you remember what the book's called?
I think it's like Investigations in the Paranormal. You look it up on Amazon.
And did you say he was English or American, or where did you tell me?
Oh, he's English.
English.
Yeah,
okay. That's why he chose him.
Right.
Yes.
Huh.
Just kidding. One thing that I've noticed is a lot of the names that we talk about were involved with not only ghosts like we are, but also psychics. I mean, all of them. They worked with, talked to psychics, worked with psychics, partially helped debunk or promote psychics.
Actually, I looked that up, and because I was going to present the guy, like a bring your dad to school kind of thing, he said psychics are a tool, but you cannot rely on them. They're a tool to maybe put you in a direction, but that's as far as that goes.
So he did. Did he do any type of work with them? Like,
yeah, he debunked a couple because before he'd use one, he wanted to see, kind of like dressing up as a ghost, see what So, and I didn't write down the names of the couple, but a couple of them were bigger ones in the day.
And tell me your dude's name again.
Tony Cornell. What sucks is if you Google him, you won't find him because Chris Cornell's daughter is called Tony Cornell, and you'll just get pages and pages of her. So just put in Tony Cornell and then parapsychology. You'll probably get it. And then at the end of the article, I got linked to his wiki. So,
R.I.P. Chris Cornell. So, what?
Did you say you hate Chris Cornell?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Why do you think that more people don't talk about him? And why do you think people don't make a bigger deal about him?
Here's the thing that old school investigators do. He's famous in the old school stuff. What about that?
Remember, he can only use so many of those hashtags
before he dies.
Things.
Oh, you're doing hashtag. I thought you were doing shut up.
No.
That's the usual response I get from people when they start. Shut up.
So, are you these articles that you're writing? Have you submitted them? Is it just for your own personal thing, or are you submitting these to like SPR?
Actually, I got one magazine. I can't remember who they are now. Since they could use one, I'd have to look it up.
Why would you not mention that to somebody? That's exciting.
Because I'm not bling, I guess.
You should. Paranormal Underground is a e-magazine I get. I'm just old school. I would rather have the magazine in my hands. But you should submit something to them.
I could, but I mean, I don't know. I just write stuff. I mean, I don't know what to do with it once it's written. It's out there and
share it.
It's like selling your children. Children.
There's days where I'd like to do that as well.
Very true.
So, because I did that one. The one I did before that was on paranormal beliefs, where I just stole chunks of my second book that I'm struggling with. I thought, I'll throw some of it out now. So,
I'm surprised that your articles flow, but you're having trouble with your book.
I try. See,
and your first one came out so fast.
Well, yeah, because the first one was just how to try and be objective. That's easy, But this one is more about on paranormal beliefs. And when I sit and I do the research, some of the people I watch, they just throw me into this pit of despair, and I'm like, how can I write that and not be negative about it? I'm trying so hard not to be negative,
Well, I mean, and that's a valid point.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep it neutral and stay objective and not subjective, but I'm having a hard time with it. So,
well, speaking of being negative, I would like you two to tell me why Zach Bagans is on our list now. Let's talk that.
not my list. You don't Adam. Adam can explain himself. You stand in a corner and think about what you did.
Hey, I didn't. But like I said before, I think we look at most of the things that he does to be flashy in the spotlight. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, when I say Zach Bagans, it's because he is exactly the opposite of the guy that John used. Exactly the opposite, because he is flashy and wants to be famous and is famous, or whatever you want to call him. And because of that, I think he is the person that modern day ghost hunters tend to, in a lot of cases, follow his lead and do the same things he does. And, we talk about orbs and all that, and, he is constantly talking about the orb going into somebody's head, and then all of a sudden they had a terrible headache, and I got possessed, and I wanted to kill this person, and and then all these people are following that lead, and it's not right, it's wrong, but he is obviously very influential. And there's a lot of people that if you say Zach Bagans is a douchebag, they get offended.
Yes, they do.
I'll still say it, but they do get offended. Like, there's people that hold him up on that same level with Hans Holzer.
And all joys I have in life anymore.
What's that?
It's one of the few joys I have anymore is watching a fanboy lose their mind. But, so...
Do you think, though, in the actual paranormal community, people who are actually doing this stuff, that they still hold him that way? Or do you think it's mostly people who just watch the shows?
I think it's just mostly your everyday paranormal or ghost hunter. Let's call him ghost hunter. It's your normal everyday ghost hunter. I don't think there's a lot of people that are on TV on maybe some of the other shows that still think Zach Bagans is worth shit.
I have a problem with you saying ghost hunters for a couple reasons. Number one, I don't think that we should have titles for something that we don't understand. So when you get picky about whether you're a paranormal investigator or a ghost hunter or whatever, I'm kind of over that. That's my opinion. Number two, because I hate when I say I'm a ghost hunter and somebody with their nose up in the air is like, oh, well, I am a paranormal investigator. Fuck you.
That's me then, huh? That's the night. I mean, what else are you going to call yourself?
Well, but listen, no, the other problem I have with that, though, I think Brian had a good point. I think that Jason and Grant from Ghost Hunters, and maybe even some of the other cast members, could be considered influential in a positive light. And so to negatively call somebody a ghost hunter is kind of shaming them for something that they started.
That's true. I mean, I've always given those guys the benefit of the doubt. And yes, they were still showmen, but they were trying to do it it's kind of like they were trying to do it in the old way, but they got to bling it up because they're on TV and they got producers and this and that, which was fine the way they presented it at the beginning. And I that's kind of one of the things that made me, sit up and notice. But the thing is, their idea got hijacked. Mm-hmm. And they, after that, had to be carried along with that. It's like anything. Anything on TV, if something happens, the next episode, something a little bit worse has got to happen, otherwise it doesn't feel as impactful, and then something a little bit worse because you've had that back there, and then all of a sudden you're at La La Land. I mean, it's kind of like Dallas where Bobby woke up in the shower. They'd gone too far and had to reset the show.
I never watched Dallas, but I will trust you.
Yeah. Oh man, old fogey.
On a side note, completely unrelated. Have you watched Tiger King?
No.
Oh my God. Start.
Get him with a spoon. Well,
Do you have Netflix? You need to watch this documentary. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
It is so I think if it weren't for the pandemic, probably nobody would know about this documentary. But somebody watched it and they told other people to watch it, and it's grown into just craziness. Like, what was it? Saturday we were sitting in the living room. I'm like, let's watch something. And I got on Facebook, and literally everybody's talking about Tiger King. So basically it is about people who breed tigers in the United States, and I don't even know how to explain it.
They have these.
And I have to watch this.
Oh my God!
They call them zoos. I mean, and they are kind of more like but some of them is more of a interactive experience where they bring the tiger cubs out and you can pet them and pay astronomical amounts of money to get your photos taken with them.
$366.
I mean, we're talking like what? Huh?
$366.
Yeah, $366 to have your photo taken with a baby tiger.
That's for people that can't use Photoshop.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what it's about. Is these groups, and they fight amongst each other, and there's lawsuits, and it's just
rotten meat and drug use and homosexuality and
murder, and it's
and it's true.
It's watching,
it's so
it's
like
trying to be Pope.
What?
It's like trying to be Pope.
Maybe.
Well, the one guy tried to be governor, so
ran for president and governor.
Oh, he did run for president. That's right. In what year? 2012?
Yeah.
Is that what he said he ran for president?
I mean, and it's. I don't even know how you put the whole thing in words. It's just so crazy.
I'm binging Star Trek Deep Space Nine at the moment.
Okay, well, when you're done, hop on to Tiger King. Anyway, back to the subject.
So I'm going to roll any topic tonight. Are you kidding me? Really?
No. Here's what, when I was doing my research, I was thinking about the people that I hear other people refer to. Obviously, I think Harry Price is a given. But then I started thinking, well, Harry Price did some stuff that was super questionable. And if you're going to count Harry Price, then wouldn't you count the Warrens? And if you're going to count the Warrens, then, I mean, and it's just a down... I don't know.
That's why I didn't choose Harry Price.
But I think we can all agree, though, that he was influential in this field, and he has brought a lot to it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's once again, it's... So here's the thing with Harry Price is he actually got famous. So, and I mean, as in everybody knew him, not just people in the milieu or the, that were interested in parapsychological matters.
Yeah.
He actually became a household name. So then you got to wonder, once again, like the psychics, when, their excuses, when they get famous, then they have to fake it because it doesn't always work. You see what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
But the thing is, some people get famous without even doing the legwork. They just make it up as they go. And that's what I don't like. I don't mind someone who does the work and turns, because I got a car on it.
Now, according to Ed and Lorraine Warren, they had thousands of cases that they went and investigated on. So why do we not count them? This is where I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where to draw the line, I guess.
I can tell you exactly why I don't count them, but that's just me. Everybody's got a different opinion, and also a different measuring stick. I mean, how do you measure who's good, who isn't? Everybody measures differently. So, for me, they had zero objectivity, none. They were psychics. He was, they were very religious. She was psychic. It was all religion and psychic. That's it.
So are you saying that you can't have religious beliefs and...
You can. But if you're going to investigate objectively, you leave them at the door.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're not being objective. You're skewing the results. That's just me. That's my belief. Which, that I don't leave at the door. I believe in being objective, so I bring that with me.
So everybody else leave their crap at the doorway, but
right.
John's going to take his own certificate.
Damn right.
Another point that I wanted to make, though, was I think it's important to point out that just because somebody has a TV show does not make them truly influential or somebody that you should be taking lead from. And obviously, Zach's the easy one to point to, but I think a lot of the other shows are right there as well. I think all too often when we think of experts in this field, we think, well, if they have a TV show, they must be an expert. But Brandy Green, who's a really nice person, but I'm going to tell you how she got on TV. She was working in a call center and happened to know one of the guys who was part of the casting, looking for casting for International, Ghost Hunters International, and basically forced her to be on there. I don't even know that she was investigating too much prior to her being on the show. So it wasn't because she was like such a great investigator. It was because somebody knew her. So,
and she had the look. You got to have the look too anymore.
Right. It's just, I think it's so important to point out that just because somebody is on TV does not make them an expert, does not make them somebody that you should be looking to for anything but entertainment.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of people on TV. I just like, how the hell did you make it on TV?
But, and that said, then, but there again, I think that the suggestion for Jason and Grant was valid. They were not the first paranormal show by any stretch of the imagination, but they were probably one that took hold the most. And without them, I don't know that I would even be doing this today if it weren't for Ghost Hunters, if I'm going to be completely honest.
I wouldn't be.
No, and it definitely wouldn't be mainstream. That's like I say, they started it, but their format got hijacked because they took off and it became popular. Mm-hmm. So, of course, everybody's going to wonder, we got to make one of those shows. What makes it good? And then they hijack it and ramp it up, and then you get Ghost Adventures. That's...
The one thing I loved about Ghost Hunters, Ghost Hunters at the very beginning. Yeah, I almost, what was wrong with me? No, one thing I loved about Ghost Hunters in the beginning was, there was a lot of things, and actually the newer episodes of Ghost Hunters, I've noticed them doing more debunking stuff too. But there's a lot of stuff that they do debunking that now when we do investigations, I think there's a lot of times I think, well, yeah, I remember that happening on Ghost Hunters. Could that be a possibility in this situation? Mm-hmm. And I think that's where they really did a good job from the beginning anyways, and I'm seeing it again now in some of the newer episodes, which is nice.
Yeah, because they kind of did a Bobby in the shower thing. They did a reset. They went back to their roots. And then, because I've watched some of the new ones, and you're right. And I think anything like that has a learning moment in it, I think is useful, So, personally, I don't mind them. It's just towards the end, in that original show, towards the end, I was like, seeing it. I know what it's going to be before they've even investigated it, to be honest with you.
So I have one that I would like your guys' opinions on, and I think that the Fox sisters should be in this list.
I don't know.
So, what?
Oh, the original ones? The old ones?
Yeah.
That did the
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So, for our listeners who aren't familiar, basically the spiritualist movement came along. They're given credit for it. I'm trying to think of the year right off the top of my head. Hold on, I'll tell you.
12.
Huh?
12.
Oh, I don't even. I highlighted it. Anyway, so in Hydesville, New York, this family lived in this house, and when they had purchased the home, the previous owner had said to them, I'm hearing some knocking. I think it's a ghost. And I think they were like, okay, whatever. So they moved in, and they started to hear knocks, and at first they were scared by them. And then one night, the daughters, one of them started talking to it and called it Mr. Splitfoot. Said, hey, Mr. Splitfoot, do what I do, and would snap, and they'd get the response and knocks. And everything that they would do, they'd get a response. Or, the mom said, tell me how old my kids are, and it would knock out all the ages of the kids, including a 3-year-old who had died. So it ended up coming to be believed that the previous owners had killed a salesman, basically, buried him in the basement, and it was his ghost that was haunting the house. They went on to do shows and, perform in front of people. Things got a little crazy after that. They had severe alcohol problems. It was discovered that one of them was popping their toes during their shows, and so it was suggested that they were faking it. One of them actually did come out and say we faked it, but she later recanted her story. But the interesting thing about that is when they tore down the house in Hydesville, they did indeed find a skeleton buried in the basement. So this all happened in 1848. The story is a lot deeper than that. Find their Wikipedia page or whatever, read it. But I think without them, now again, they didn't start ghost hunting, but without them, would any of the people that we talk about be here?
Probably not, no, because they did start the popular spiritualist movement, which is why we get table knockings and everything, which emulates what they did. So without the spirit movement, we wouldn't have parapsychic investigators, and without those, we wouldn't have modern-day ghost hunters. Probably. But then you never know, because something else may happen.
That's true.
Anything that captures the popular imagination. You never know what it's going to be. It might even be something called Tiger King one day.
Honest to God, you have to go watch it, though.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those you got to see, for sure. Yeah. Oof.
No, you just no.
It sounds so boring and stupid, but there's so much insanity in that show that you will be like, what the fuck? I still right now am questioning whether or not this shit can possibly be real, even though I know it is. It's crazy.
And that's the point. I don't watch shows, films, TV for insanity. I watch them for... I don't want escapism, but I don't want escapism when they say, oh, by the way, this is really real. No, I don't care. No.
It's a documentary. Okay, so speaking of documentaries, what do you think about Mr. Newkirk and Ms. Matthews? Is that her last name? Yeah.
I don't know. What do they do?
Greg Newkirk and Dana Matthews and Hellier.
Oh, Hellier. See, I don't know names. You throw names. I'm not a name drop. I don't know the names. So, Hellier, what do I think? I think we've covered this already.
Well, I know, but, they are maybe influential.
Yes, but all they do is have a severe attack of the Barter-Meinhof syndrome. That's it, in a nutshell, basically. Oh, I'm noticing lots of these now. Yeah, cool, sure.
I think that if you asked them if they were top influencers right now, they would say yes. So I was just curious what you thought about that.
You know what? That's fine. I have a thing in the back of my mind about influencers, which is a popular word these days. Every time I hear the word influencer, I always think of Hell Bop.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, True statement.
So, just because you're an influencer, don't make you right. So,
That's
and
probably
also,
fair as well.
influencers, people that follow them, think for yourselves a little bit. You need an influencer. Should just do a little bit of research and think about it, maybe. I don't know. My old.
Yes, but that's beside the point.
Oh, shoot.
Well, and the problem is nobody reads anymore. I was going to ask you who you think people should read, but nobody reads anymore. So, I guess...
And no, people do read. People got Kindles and, stuff like that. It depends. Who do I think people should read? I don't know. What's interesting to you? What are you looking for, basically?
I'm not helping this conversation at all.
You did, though. You just started it.
No, I said you're not helping this conversation at all by telling people, I don't know, read what you're interested in. Do you know what people should read?
Well, I'm going to be an influencer. Read this.
Read this book.
No, mine.
Hey.
Yeah. Plug, John. Plug.
I reread Aleister Crowley's Theory of Magic.
I was actually going to bring him up. Okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I haven't read that since high school. And back then, I was like, ooh. And we played Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, ooh. I reread it not that long ago. I'm like, what in the hell is this guy taking? And then when you read his biography, pretty much everything he could get his hands on.
I know he's taking mescaline, heroin, opium. Yeah.
He got thrown out of Italy for hedonism. Italy, who don't give a shit. They just drive around and drink.
Mussolini did eventually kick him out. Actually, I can tell you the date. I'm glad you brought him up because he is a name that I hear people drop a lot. And I thought that was interesting because I did read a little bit about him again, kind of updating myself on him again today too. And he was nothing but a straight fraud, really. He was rebellious, and when he was in school, let's see, like his dad died when he was 11, and shortly after that, he started getting really, really rebellious, and his mom started referring to him as the Beast, like the Beast out of the Book of Revelations. And I think he just ran with that. And he did a lot of drugs, and he scammed people. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what he was? He was an influencer.
That's true. He was. So he came to America and spent some time here to escape World War I. And then when that was over, he went to Italy. And then Mussolini ordered him and his followers out. So one fun thing, though, thanks to Until Dawn podcast, I was listening to that one day, and Coy found that you can order charred remains from the Boleskine Mansion, which is where Crowley lived. And I was like, what? So I got on eBay, and sure as shit can, so I have them. Super excited. You too, for $25, starting at $25. Order.
Where's it? How do you know where it's from? It's a piece of charred something.
I know. Well, so here's
it does come with a certificate of authenticity.
Oh, right. That proves it.
So the people who own the home now are trying to, I guess, I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to make it into something or just trying to make it a nice home again, but they had a fire. And so to raise money for their project, they're selling charred remains. So I have some charred remains from Boleskine Mansion.
Going back to the times of pieces of the True Cross and the Saint's finger bone, aren't we? Look, there he is. There you go. So, sorry, I'm skeptic. I just know what people are like, especially for money or power or influence, which is why I don't trust influences.
Absolutely. So,
Hans Holzer is, and I always kind of put him and Price in the same. They feel kind of similar to me. I don't know. Do you feel like that's fair? Or do you feel like they're different?
Honestly, I don't know that much about Holzer. Not a name I've come across that I felt that I needed to delve into.
Really?
I don't know names. I go by subject, and then if a name crops up and I have to follow that rabbit hole, I will.
Okay. So, what is it about Price that grabs your attention? That
he was me personally. I mean,
yeah.
I grew up in England, so he was the first. I didn't know ghost hunters existed. He's the first name I heard, and I'm like, what does he do? He used to hunt ghosts, and then the BBC did the Wally Rectory thing, and then the whole documentary. So that's how, like I say, he was famous.
Yeah.
And people that didn't follow that stuff. So,
and he married a wealthy woman, and so he got to not work and just go investigate full time.
So, man, I knew it. I liked it.
He was a genius, clearly.
Yeah.
Right.
Clearly a genius.
Mm-hmm. He was one of the woke men.
He did some really interesting things, and he did some really kind of questionable things, in my opinion. But I mean, a lot of people do credit him as being the kind of godfather of ghost hunting, and I think to a certain extent that's probably fair.
He was well known, and he showed that you could mix basically science and spirituality and, sort of one out or the other, I guess, is the root of it for me. It's, you take this thing of spirituality with Ouija boards and you either believe it or you don't. And then, okay, let's look and see if there's a new science and apply that to it. I mean, he was one of the, for me, that I know of. I'm sure there were people who did it before, but he was the first, kind of like the Ghostbusters for the modern generation. Just go in the haunted building and pull out all this gear.
Adam, you've stayed kind of quiet during this. Do you have opinions?
I don't have a lot of opinion on Harry Price, honestly. I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of things I think he probably did that maybe, we should maybe start doing again, but unfortunately we can't throw powder on the floor, but we should probably try that in some places. I think there was a lot of easy things that he did that we could probably follow.
That is one thing that I have always wanted to do and actually get results with.
Oh, I completely agree. I think it'd be awesome, but...
Well, I will tell you a little bit about Holzer. So, he was actually born in Vienna. His family came to the United States around World War II. And he says that he just kind of always had an interest in the paranormal. When he was in college, he studied Japanese at Columbia University and then comparative religion and parapsychology. The questionable thing is he claimed to have obtained a PhD at a school called the London College of Applied Science, which people have been unable to verify the reality of. So,
I think he got debunked with his claims of PhDism.
Well, yeah, he did go on to teach parapsychology at the New York Institute of Technology, and he's written more than 120 books on ghosts in the afterlife. He investigated a lot of really popular haunted locations, most obvious of which is the Amityville house, which he says that he believes was haunted by a Indian chief and believes he has a picture of the Indian chief riding through the house on a horse. He worked with psychics. Now, Ethel Johnson Myers was the one that I recognized. What?
I don't like him.
Shocking. I didn't recognize the other two names. Sybil Leek and Marissa Anderson I didn't recognize. But he's written a lot of books, a lot on parapsychology, and that's why, he reminded me a lot of Price, because I think Amityville was obviously one of those questionable things, but Price had his questionable things as well. His daughter, if I'm not Holzer died in 2009, if I'm not mistaken. So what channel is it? Maybe the Travel Channel, but it might be whatever the one connected to it is. Destination America, is that what it's called? They have a show called The Holter Files, and it's a group of people who are basically going back into Hans's files and reinvestigating some of these locations. And I think that Hans's daughter is helping them with that. Now, I could be wrong about that, but what's his face from Darkness Radio leads that show?
Dave Schrader.
Dave Schrader, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's wanted to be on TV forever, so good for him. Mm-hmm. I've not seen the show. I mean, I've seen it on. I've not watched it, so I can't tell you. I can tell you, Dave pet my face really randomly one time. That was weird, but
it was extremely weird and extremely funny. Actually,
yes, well, my husband thinks it's really funny to do it now to me all the time.
Well, it's those random moments, honey, that you'll miss someday when I'm gone.
So, talking about Dave Schrader, though, maybe kind of think about another person, because we went to the reason we got into the Palmer House Hotel in Sauk Center, Minnesota, was because of Dave Schrader and Darkness Radio. And while we were there, we met Bill Chappell. So I'm curious your guys' thoughts. You know, is Bill Chappell still considered a leading technology developer in this field?
For me, he shit the bed when he did the Ovilus. To be honest with you.
So you're not, I mean, after that you're done with him, even though he also created the SLS?
I'm going to piss Adam off. So any SLS readings I've had, I could get rid of by wiping my hand in front of them, because it's true. I mean, that's fine. I don't know what everybody else's experience is, but those are my experiences. It's never worked. And when it looked like it's working, if you run your hand across the front of it, or it has to reconfigure what it thinks it saw, it never sees the same thing, or it hasn't for me. So, no. And also, remember, we had his let's turn sound into magnetic waves so ghosts can hear them better, and let's turn magnetic waves into sound so we can hear ghosts. And then when you plug one into the speaker and one into the mic, you can't hear a bloody thing, so you know they don't work. Because if the mic was working, you'd hear it through the speaker. The speaker was, you know, so at least you get feedback. Put a speaker next to a mic, you get ee, doesn't work. So no, that's a bunch of hokum too. So no, for me, I mean, I guess the Ovilus for me was such a, and I'm going to piss everybody off because a lot of people love it, but it's such a bunch of hokum. You know, that one, I really. Yeah, it's not worth like coughing in it, for Christ's sakes. I mean, that's a dead giveaway. You know? And, what was it, the 2 or the 3? There was a hidden microphone in one of them that they found. I can't remember, I was reading up on that a couple of weeks ago. One of them, there was an actual hidden microphone in it. So, why would you do that?
Well,
I am not going to let you take mine apart to find out.
Right. Do you think, though, his equipment kind of follows along the same lines with the TV shows? Like, you make something and something happens. Because initially his idea for the Ovilus was to communicate with plants.
Correct.
That was the reason why he initially made it. But do you think then somebody used it for ghost hunting, and then they had some type of result, but then he needed to make another one that was better, and by the time it got to, you know, the Ovilus 735, he had to make it even better, and so some of it's kind of false.
Well,
just like the TV shows, you know, along those same lines. Like, he started out with the best of intentions, and then as it kept growing,
he didn't believe in the paranormal. He stayed there a few times. Now,
no, he doesn't. I mean,
here's an idea I have, and I may be totally out there with this idea. But so he makes a couple of things because he knows people. Somebody's doing a TV show, sees that there's original equipment that's now going to be a new thing for their show. They do it. When they do it, lots of people want it. So now you've got something feeding something else. So he keeps coming up with stuff for the show because every episode they got to have something new. So here's a new piece of equipment. Here's a new piece of equipment.
Well, yeah, that's his meal ticket. I'm sure he's aware of that.
He sells them. And they're not cheap. How much was the Ovilus? I mean, it probably cost like $20 to make the damn thing.
Yeah. I mean,
I think I spent like $3.50 or $4 on it.
How many people own one?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, yeah. No, I don't disagree with that.
I think that'd be a strong motive. I may be way out there with that idea, but I think that's a motive. I don't know.
But he didn't initially start out that way.
No, nobody does. To be honest with you.
Well, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, he started out with the best of intentions, and then it just kind of grew. And I'm not saying that all of his stuff is crap, and that you can't get anything from any of it. I think, along with John's line of being objective, no matter what the piece of equipment is, you have to know how to interpret what you're seeing, and not everything that you see is paranormal.
Excellent. Excellent. That's exactly.
Well,
you hit it right on there.
And I've learned a lot from you, John, and I've learned a lot from you, Sarah. I mean, you both have your ways of doing things, and I try to pick up pieces when I go, because I'm not the big reader. I'm not the smart guy, let's put it that way. But I've learned a lot, like the K2, for instance. Do I think it works? Sometimes it goes off in really random, weird places, and sometimes it goes off on command, and that seems very odd to me. Now, if I could back that up with a tri-field meter when it's going off, then I think that lends a little credibility to it. Do I think all K2 meters are made the same? Absolutely not. So I guess that's where I'm going with all that.
No, and that is, like I say, you've hit the nail right on the head, because if we go back to Tony Cornell, that statement he made, 800 cases, 20% are hard to explain, only a handful of paranormal. The problem for me is that when you have a piece of equipment that has those same results, and I'm getting 800 positives, 800 of them, 80% of them are bogus, 20% of them you can't explain, only a handful are really paranormal. How do you pick out the ones that are really paranormal? It's like having a tape measure with, sometimes the lines are right and sometimes they're not. Can you do carpentry with that? For me, that's how I feel. If something is going to give me that many false positives, it's practically useless.
Well, and he has stated before, too, and I'm not... this obviously doesn't excuse the equipment that he's made that is just bunk, but he has tried to make equipment before that doesn't have lights on it, that doesn't make sounds, that he feels is a little bit more legitimate, and nobody buys it. So he quit doing that and just started doing what people wanted and what people will buy. I mean, so I think he even quit building what he believed in.
Yeah, and I can understand that. I mean, if it's a business, it's a business. But that also reinforces the point of modern ghost hunters are actors and the toys are their props. I mean, if you watch a movie that has crap props, it's very hard to get immersed into the movie, if you see what I mean. Mm-hmm. So, you look at cheap sets like the old Star Treks with like polystyrene rocks. The story's good, you let it go, but you watch like the new Star Treks, I'll get really nerdy now, where the effects are much better, you get into the story better. And here's the other thing about that is, if the effects are better, the story doesn't have to be so good. So now, the effects are getting better, but the paranormal stories are getting crap, as far as I'm concerned, but that's just me, So,
That's
because now they've got the bleepy bloopies to say, no, look, it's true, and everyone's all focused on that. It's smoke and mirrors. So, I that's why I like just, I like something that's binary. Either goes off or it doesn't. And then what sets that off? If I know what's setting it off and it goes off when it shouldn't, I got more chance of trying to, is it going to be paranormal all the time? Of course not. But I'm going to get less false positives, so it's easier to collect data in my mind.
So we are nearing an hour and a half in now, so I want to kind of wrap this up. It sucks we didn't get to talk too much about Houdini and Arthur Conan Doyle. I think they actually both have contributed to this story pretty significantly too. So, I encourage people to look past the TV, and there's so many more people who have done things to help this field. And a large majority, as John pointed out with Tony Cornell, were never on TV. So don't just assume that because somebody's on TV that's the person you should be listening to, because that's not it. I'm sure YouTube probably has tons of videos, hopefully, I would hope, on some of these great people that didn't make it on TV, but you can also read books, folks.
It's hard.
I know. Nobody reads anymore. I hate it. All right. Well, let's tie this up. I have no idea what we're going to talk about next time. I would like to talk about the Enfield haunting at some point. I don't know. Do we want to hold on to that for a while, or we want to make that next topic?
Let's just do it. We might all be dead from coronavirus next week.
That's true. All right.
That's true.
We'll talk about the Enfield haunting on our next episode. So I am sure I can already feel John's opinions flowing from him.
Well, I grew up in Enfield.
I know. Well, see, you're going to give us our expert testimony here.
Remember, real time.
All right.
Nice.
Well, until then, folks, go grab a copy of Leaps of Faith by J.M. Black. You can find it. It's pinned to the top of our Facebook page, which is Seeking the Paranormal. Really easy way to get onto Amazon and buy a copy. You got nothing else to do right now because we are all alone together, or home together, whichever hashtag you're following these days. If you want to find John, you can do so at
phantomscience.net. And we have articles now, so you can read my rants in real time.
Excellent.
Oh, they're not just rants; they're in depth.
And then your podcast is on Sundays at 7?
At 7 Central, 8 Eastern. We've been doing a lot of live lately, which I don't know if we'll stay with that format or not, but as long as we keep getting feedback from the live chat room, I guess we'll do it. But sometimes it's kind of, it dries up. So
yeah, Adam tried to jump on last week and realized that he got on too late. So
he still listened to them.
Yeah, he did. We listened to your shows.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we listened to
I was going to get on and harass you guys, but I realized I got on a couple of minutes too late, and then it was, okay, how do I find where live is right now? And it was too late. It didn't work, so.
Actually, yeah, a lot of people jump on late and they go, I'm 10 minutes behind. So,
yeah.
I don't know. That's the rule. I just try and run with it. I'll have people ask me questions about something I said 10 minutes ago. I'm like, what? We've covered it.
All right. Well, check out Phantom Science. John's got videos. He's got articles. He's got a book out. He's got everything your little heart could desire. And links to all of his social media.
I will take away your toys, so be careful.
That's true. That's true. He's going to burst all of your bubbles. if you want to follow me, you can do so on Facebook. I am C Paranormal Sarah, SEE Paranormal Sarah with an H. And of course, you can follow all three of us on Facebook and Twitter and newly on Instagram. Feel free to drop us a line, give us an opinion. Honest to God, the amount of people who liked my video today but then did not share their opinion kills me. I love you all for liking it, but...
Yes, this is your dude. Like, oh, and then nothing. Like, come on, feedback, argue with me. What's wrong with you?
I know, and usually people are opinionated, so I don't know. It's kind of weird that nobody ever wants to share their opinion, but hopefully...
You scare people.
Maybe.
Sarah's scary.
I think it's John they're scared of.
Nah.
All right. Well, we are going to go social distance ourselves. Everybody else, take care, stay safe, stay well, and we will talk to you in a couple weeks. Until then, keep seeking the paranormal.
I'm stuck in a bar, but we're out.
Thank you for listening, and be sure to follow Seeking the Paranormal on Facebook at Seeking the Paranormal, and also on Twitter at Seeking the P.